In 1988, December 7, there was an earthquake that hit Armenia. And I read this story in the online. That earthquake was real. I mean, if you Google it, you see it. Hit Armenia, leveled an entire area. The whole country was affected, but some areas were leveled completely. Children were in school. Around 11:47 a.m., the thing struck. Within 4 minutes, everything was over. And over 30,000 people died. Within 4 minutes. A man whose son was in school left his wife in the house, said, let me go for a child. He went to the school was leveled. Everything was rubble. Some parents that came, all were crying, all were lamenting. That man took some time trying to map out mentally where the classroom of his child was. And he was able to locate where he felt within one building the classroom of his child was. He brings him to school. And he began to dig. And people were telling him that aftershocks can even kill you. That is too late. Parents that were crying told, he said no. Police came, he said no. Fire people said you're risking your life. He said no. He remembered why he started digging. He remembered the promise he made to his child. He said, no matter what happens, I will always be there for you. He told his child. I'm sure he has told him that thing over and over again. No matter what happens, I will always be there for you. So he began to dig. After 1 hour, 2 hours, he continued digging. I mean, you can imagine how his hands got calloused. But he remembered the promise to the child. Remember that the child was under that debris. And he wanted to know, is he still alive or is he dead? I want to see what has happened to him. He kept digging. 1 day passed, 24 hours. 30 hours passed. At the 38th hour, he removed the boulder, this broken concrete or whatever from there, and heard the voice of his son. He called his name. He said, Dad, it's me. I'm here. He said, Dad, it's me. I'm here. He said, I'm here. He said, there are 14 of us here out of 30, out of 33. That 14 of us are still here alive. That I told them that my dad said, no matter what, that he will always be there for me. And that he's sure if his dad is alive, that he will come for him. And that when he comes for him, that all of them will be saved. He was encouraging, telling the other people, my dad will come for me. I know he will come for me. And his dad came. And he was telling his dad that there was a place that the building, when it fell, he found something like a triangle. And that's what protected those 14 of them. They were under that, so the debris didn't hit on them direct. But the father dug for 38 hours to reach them. And he got his son back. He called his name. The boy said, it's me, I'm here. Then he told you, I told you people that my father will come. Children and their faith. If you have faith as this child has faith, what has God told you? When he says, I will never leave you nor forsake you, how do you look at it? I tell you, I can never get stranded in life. It's not because my name, I can never get stranded in life. It's not because my name is Owen, but there is a knowing. There is a knowing about the one that told me, you see, the righteous shall not be forsaken and his seed shall not beg bread. There is a knowing. There is a knowing. God is coming for you where you are. Look at 2 Samuel chapter 9. Let me just pick 1 or 2 case studies. 2 Samuel chapter 9. When other parents were telling you, listen, stop this, it's late. All of us are in. Anybody that discouraged him, he asked the person, will you help me? Will you help me? Anybody, that was what he was asking, will you help me? Actually, he wanted to know the end for his son. Commitment, love. Love. Even when fellowship breaks down, it's commitment that sustains relationships. Commitment. And commitment is lacking in many relationships nowadays. Finish and go. Wait today, in 2 weeks, it's over. Everybody goes his way. For any reason. No commitment. 2 Samuel chapter 9. And David said, you know about Saul and his family. Saul and Jonathan have died on Mount Gilboa. There have been war for years now, or stretches of months between David's family and Saul's family. A lot of them have died. Almost all of Saul's family has been wiped off. David is now on the throne. Now, David said, is there still anyone who is left of the house of Saul, that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake? Jonathan was his bosom friend, and they had a covenant. Is somebody here? Is there, he sat and he's asking, is there still anyone who is left of the house of Saul, that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake? And there was a servant of the house of Saul whose name was Ziba. So when they had called him to David, the king said to him, are you Ziba? He said, at your service, or I am. Then the king said, is there not still someone of the house of Saul to whom I may show the kindness of God? Commitment to Jonathan, even though Jonathan is late, for Jonathan's sake. And Ziba said to the king, there is still a son of Jonathan who is lame in his feet. Underline that. Lame in his feet. Lame in his feet. If you read 2 Samuel chapter 4, you find out what happened to him. The day Saul and Jonathan died, that boy was 5 years old. And the nurse or maid that was taking care of him, when they heard the news, everybody was running for his life. The maid took him to run and fell. And the boy fell out of his hands and got paralyzed. That's how he became lame at 5 years of age. So the king sent to him, that's to Ziba, where is he? And Ziba said to the king, indeed, he's in the house of Machir, the son of Amiel, in Lodeba. Lodeba. Underline Lodeba. Of all places. Then King David sent and brought him out of the house of Machir, the son of Amiel, from Lodeba. God will deliver you from Lodeba in Jesus' name. And when Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, had come to David, he fell on his face and prostrated himself. Then David said, Mephibosheth. And he answered, here is your servant. So David said to him, do not fear, for I will surely show you kindness for Jonathan, your father's sake, and will restore to you all the land of Saul, your grandfather. And you shall eat bread at my table continually. Then he bowed himself and said, what is your servant that you should look upon such a dead dog as I? That was a prince in Israel, reduced to the point where he's calling himself a dead dog. Not just a dog, a dead dog. That's what life showed him. That was a prince, the grandson of a king of Israel. His father was the next in line to rule. Lame in Lodeba. Lame in Lodeba. Lame in Lodeba. handicapped. Verse 9, and the king called to Ziba, Saul's servant, and said to him, I've given to your master's son all that belonged to Saul and to all his house, restoration. You therefore, your sons and your servants, shall work the land for him, and shall bring in the harvest, that your master's son shall have food to eat. But Mephibosheth, your master's son, shall eat bread at my table always. Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. That was a large workforce now for Mephibosheth. Then Ziba said to the king, according to all that my lord the king has commanded his servant, so will your servant do. As for Mephibosheth, said the king, he shall eat at my table like one of the king's sons. He kind of adopted him. That's what happened there. Now think of Mephibosheth, displaced. The royal family where he belonged was overthrown. God removed Saul. Now, this prince of Israel, as a child, 5 years old, was displaced. The same day, he became lame by an accident that happened while his nurse was trying to run away with him to save him. Became lame and was now living in Lodebar. Lodebar means without pasture or pastureless. A land where nothing grows. Pastureless land. A waste wilderness. What a change. The same day you're being dislodged from the palace, you're becoming lame. The same day you're banished to Lodebar, a pastureless land where nothing grows, where efforts mean nothing. A graceless land, an unforgiving wilderness, unforgiving terrain that makes no room for weakness. The healthy are suffering. What's the chance of the lame? An unforgiving terrain, having no allowance for weakness. There is a young boy, lame, dislodged, dislocated from. When you're brought up in the palace, you're soft. Are you here? You're not used to hardship. Is anybody here? Paul, talking about John the Baptist, was asking the Jews when John sent some people to go and ask him, are you he that is to come, or should we look for another? Jesus healed some people and then tell them, go and tell John what you have seen and heard. John was in prison then, so that's where life found him. And he was now doubting the Messiah. Jesus told him, blessed is he whosoever is not offended in me. Then when those two emissaries left, he started talking to the people around. He said, who did you go to the wilderness to seek? He said, a man dressed in purple, in suits and soft raiment. He said, no, those that wear such are in palaces. That was the background of Mephibosheth. He was trained in comfort. And now in one day, he's lame and he's banished to Lodebar. But God was seeing him. Remember, God will locate you where you are. He's coming for you. If you faint not, you will reap. There is hope.